Welcome to the Zoho People Attendance course. In this video, we will be discussing roster management. So, let's move right along. Roster management is important for organizations that work on multiple shifts. When there are employees working in different shifts in different time zones, you need to have a system with which you can track who is in which shift. Employee scheduling software makes it easy to map employees to various shifts and to communicate to employees on time. Using Zoho People, you can automate rosters and save time and avoid confusions and double work. Shift management consists of the parts that are listed below. Adding shifts, shift margin, mapping employees, shift rotation, shift settings and notifications, shift views, configure breaks, and importing shifts. Now, adding shifts. Navigate from your homepage to Attendance, then to Shift Schedule. Thereafter, click on Shifts and add shift. Did you know you need to set eligibility for shift allowance? Yes. And this can be done in Attendance, to Settings, General Settings, and then select Shift Settings. Here, you can then configure the eligibility for shift allowance. So, you can enter a value in hours. For example, if you give 8 here, then employees who have worked for 8 hours in the shift will be eligible for shift allowance. Here we are, back to adding a shift. First of all, add the shift name within the shift name box. Then, choose the shift timings from the drop-downs for from and to. Enable shift margin if required and enter the time and hours before the shift starts and hours after the shift ends. Remember, this setting allows you to define boundaries within which payable hours will be calculated. When enabled, the start and end time of the shift will be considered as the default boundaries. You can set additional time limits before or after the shift that provides a bigger interval to calculate the payable hours. Select if the weekend should be based on location or shifts. Check the boxes of the respective days for weekend definition if you would like to have the shifts based on weekends. Please note, if you select location-based weekend and holidays, then it will be based on the settings configured under Settings, navigating to Organization, navigating to Holiday Calendar, which was set there. While creating shifts and shift-based weekends holidays, it overrides the weekend holiday definition for the location-based ones if they already exist for the account. For example, an organization serves clients in the US time zones and Australian ones. Its holidays are configured as per the respective shifts. In this case, location-based holidays are overridden, as shift-based weekends holidays has its effects, even though it's the same work location. So, under Shift Allowance, check the Enable button. Enter the rate per day for the shift and then click Submit. And now for mapping employees. An employee can be assigned to a shift by the following options. From the Employee Shift Matching tab, navigate to Attendance, to Shift Schedule, to Employee Shift Mapping, and then click Assign Shift. Under the applicable fold, select the employees. You may also select location and make employees of that location be included in the shift. Please note, the employees who belong to the location at the point of the time when you assign the shift will only be part of the shift. For example, if you selected California, then the employees who will join in California at the time that you assign the shift will be included as part of the shift. The ones who join after you have completed this association will not be part of the shift. However, to include them as part of the shift, you will have to either assign the employees by selecting users or click on Assign Shift and select California from location again to make the employees part of this shift. So, select the shift name from the shift name dropdown. Provide from and to date, and thereafter click Submit. Okay. Updating past attendance entries while assigning shifts. When shifts are assigned for the past dates, all corresponding attendance settings can also be updated. To update past entries, check Update Past Attendance Entries. If you do not want to update the past attendance entries, this option can remain unchecked. This option will not apply to grace period policy, compensation of credit, absent entries pushed to leave. The absence scheduler can be run manually by pressing the play button for a specific date to push absent entries to leave. Please note, this option is available while assigning and importing shifts under Employee Shift Mapping or Shift Calendar. Shift Calendar tab. Navigate from Attendance to Shift Schedule to Shift Calendar, and then click Assign Shift. Enter the details and click Submit. Shift Rotation. The main function of the scheduler is to have the shifts change automatically for selected employees based on the frequency that is set. Follow these steps to add a scheduler. So from your homepage, navigate to Attendance, then to Shift Scheduler, and then to Shift Rotation. You can then configure rotation. So, under the Shift Scheduler details, give a name for the schedule. Set a frequency for the schedule, or example, if you select monthly and give it a date, then this shift scheduler will run every month on the given date. Enter the time at which you would like to have the scheduler triggered. In the next section, shift rotation details under shift span define the span of the shift. For example, the period for which the shift is applicable. Under Applicable For, select the required option from the list of roles, departments, designations, locations, etc. Under Shift Rotation, select the shifts appropriately. Use the plus icon to map more shifts. And after this, you can click Submit. Please do note, an email notification will be sent to the employees whenever there is a change made to their shift, thus notifying them. Editing employees' shift mapping. This can be done using two options. Select the day and click on the shift name to see a box with existing shift details. Select the shift to which you need to map the particular day. Now the shift for that day will change. Option 2. The Edit button. When you click the Edit button, the following screen will appear. Here you can change the shift for that day alone. Shift settings and notifications. All settings pertaining to shifts can be done under Attendance, navigating to Settings, to General Settings, and then Shift Settings. View Employee Shift Mapping. Here you can set as to who needs to view employee shift mapping. Edit employee shift mapping. Permissions to edit employee shift mapping can be set here. Email notification for shift modification. You can decide whether to enable or disable the email notification that will be sent to employees. Feed notification for shift modification. Here you can set whether to enable or disable feeds notifications sent to employees about any modifications to the shifts. Eligibility for shift allowance. Here you can specify the minimum hours that an employee should have clocked in for the day to be eligible for the shift. Shift views. Calendar view. You can have a calendar view of the shift details based on details, departments, employees, etc. Navigate to Attendance, Shift Schedule, and then Shift Calendar, and click on the filter on the right hand side. Select the location, department, employee, etc. from the drop-down menu. You can select a from and to date to define the period for which you would like to see the shift details. Click Search. You can see the shift details based on your selection. To export or download, select the appropriate option by clicking on the ellipsis icon. Export can be done only in .xls or CSV format. And here we are to add a break. Specify the name of the break. Choose a pay type. Choosing paid would mean that the breaks are included as payable hours along with the paid hours. Specify your mode. Let's start with automatic. Breaks are credited when a user has a check-in before the break period and a check-out after the break period time. For automatic mode, ensure that at least one time interval is configured. And now for manual. In manual mode, when intervals are not specified, a user can opt to go for a break whenever they want. However, when intervals are specified, a user can only opt to take breaks within the specified intervals. When automatically mark breaks based on check-in, check-out entries option is enabled in manual mode. Breaks are credited when user has at least once checked in or once checked out before and after each break interval. Allowed duration is the maximum amount of time a user can be on break. For automatic break, duration is automatically calculated from the start time and end time. However, for manual break, duration is manually set. Please note, duration can be less than or equal to the summed up duration of all intervals. Configure applicable shifts. Choose the shifts that are eligible for this particular break, and then click Submit. The format shows the mandatory and optional fields for the file import. If all the shifts in your organization are local based, then only the first 3 mandatory fields, hence shift name, from time, and to time, need to be filled, and 0 should be entered for the weekend options. If shift-based weekends are included, enter 1 under weekend option. If the weekend option column is not given, then all shifts will be considered under shift-based weekends. For each specific day, specify when that day is considered as a weekend using 1 to 5. For instance, if the 1st and the 5th Fridays are to be considered weekend, then enter 1, 5, and a Friday. If a day is not considered a weekend, then just leave it blank. So, once the file is uploaded, update the mapping details. Once the mapping has been completed successfully, you will see the message, "The selected file has been imported successfully." You will also see a summary of the completed import. If there are any errors in the imported file, they will be displayed along with the row details and can be rectified. The correctly entered details will be successfully imported. If this happens, a new file with the corrected data can be imported again to ensure that all data in the file is imported. Your file has now been imported successfully. Thank you for watching the Zoho People Attendance course video, Roster Management. See you in the next one.